Hi, I'm Dr. Bertice Berry, and I need to tell you a story. For many years, I wore dreadlocks. My kids all wore dreadlocks. We were like the dreadlock family. Then I had a head injury, and I had to cut all my hair off. Well, if you've seen me lately, and you're looking at me now, it can look a little different. That's because I'm growing my dreadlocks back. Saying it out loud is just magnificent. And it's a process. It's a process that I want to go through because they're dreadlocks and not locks. There's a difference. And every time I say that I wore dreadlocks, somebody will have a comment and say, they're not called dreadlocks. Dreadlocks is the derogatory term. Dreadlocks is what they're called. You might wear locks. I wear dreadlocks. The difference for me, and you can look it up, is that dreadlocks is associated with a spiritual journey. It's associated with warriors who, when they came down from the mountain, people dread them because they look fierce and the light of God shines on them. Anyway, I was in the airport and I met this young man. He had the most beautiful dreads. And I looked at him and I said, I love your hair. And he smiled the biggest smile of knowing. He said, I cut them off. They were really long and I cut them off. And I didn't feel like myself and I had to grow them back. And I said, how long is this journey? And it's called a journey. And he said, it's been a year. I was like, well, that's a lot for a year. He's like, I know, because they just wanted to be here. And I'm like, I know that feeling. And I said, well, what do you call them? He said, I call them dreads because I'm a dreadlock warrior. And I smiled and I said, well, do you get people who say they're not dreads? He said, yeah. And I tell people, you can't tell me what to call my hair. And we laughed about it. And I said, well, they got it from TikTok. And so there is this thing that, they're not called dreads because when people saw her hair matted, they thought it was dreadful. That's uh-uh. Dreadlocks connote a spiritual path, a natural way of living. It is a rejection of the comb, is a rejection of going the traditional way. I looked at him and said, what do you use in your locks? And we both said at the same time, my hand. Oh, listen, everybody has their own path. Everybody has their own journey. Everybody has their own way of becoming. I wore locks, dreadlocks, and sometimes I say locks. I wore dreadlocks for about 30, 40 years. I wore them at a time no one else was wearing them. I felt alone. I felt isolated. I felt crazy. When I was on a television, nationally syndicated television show at the end of the first season, successful show, high ratings, um, I was told if I cut my dreadlocks off and wore a wig so I could look normal, they would renew the show, give me $1 million signing bonus. And I walked away. I said, if it's worth $1 million for you to have me change who I am, it should be worth more to me to be who I am. There's never been a stage where I wasn't who I am. Never been a time, even when I cut it off, I just went like it was. When I put braids in, it was to let it grow out enough to wear it. But even at that, it was like, it's time. It's time. As I was coming in yesterday, driving up La Cienega, and I, looked up in the mirror and saw my hair, and I was like, ugh, I can't. It looks so crazy. And I looked to the right outside my window. Somebody had painted on the side of a building the words, that I needed to read. It said, don't give up. I don't care what journey you're on right now, whether it's about your hair, about your life, about your fitness, about your wellness. It's your journey. You get to call it what you need to call it to get to where you need to be. But don't give up. I love you.